160-foot-tall mass crumbling in heart-stopping fashion under one of the most famous bridges in the world.
We have about at least a dozen people injured on our vessel.
Divers were launched protectively, though NYPD officials say all 277 people on board were accounted for. Crew members who appear to have been on the topmost rung can be seen swinging violently in videos shared online, as many others were left dangling. The Mexican Navy has confirmed 2 people so far have died, with nearly a dozen in critical condition.
The captain that was maneuvering the ship lost, power of the ship, and the current mechanical function caused the ship to go right into the pillar of the bridge.
Witnesses simply stunned by what they were seeing.
We just saw the top of it snap off, and it just kept on snapping.
In video taken before the crash, you can see crew members blanketing those very masts.
They were all celebrating, people were dancing, singing, but there was people on the mast standing up, and it hit the top shelf, and the mast came down, and the people were just hanging from there.
Overnight, a vigil to honor the cadets and crew members killed and those injured. As the New York Emergency Management Commissioner tells NBC News, the quick reaction from first responders likely saved lives.
They were on scene almost immediately, helping get critically injured patients off of the ships, onto the pier, getting them into the hospitals. It was incredibly well orchestrated by the FDNY and EMS and NYPD harbor units.
Now, the U.S. Coast Guard guys tells us that foreign ships do require tug escorts depending upon the vessel, and in this case, that Mexican ship that crashed into the Brooklyn Bridge did have a tug escort. That very likely might be part of the NTSB investigation. As for the structural integrity of the famous bridge, officials say right now it is not damaged and traffic is flowing freely. Savannah, Peter, back to you.
I rode across it this morning, Sam. Thank you very much.
We have more to get to this morning, including a new push for peace in Ukraine. President Trump hoping to make progress toward a ceasefire today during separate phone calls with Vladimir Putin and Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky. Talks that come on the heels of Russia's largest drone attack since the invasion began more than 3 years ago. NBC's chief international correspondent is Keir Simmons, and he joins us now. Keir, good morning.
Hey, Peter, good morning to you. That potentially pivotal phone call between President Trump and President Putin is underway right now at 7 a.m. on the West Coast. The Vice President just telling reporters the White House is more than open to walking away. He says the President will say to Putin, "Are you serious?" Russia's deadly assault on Ukraine unrelenting overnight. Over the weekend, Moscow launching hundreds of drones, the biggest such attack in 3 years of war, Ukraine says. Just hours before a crucial call between President Trump and President Putin, while Russia says it intercepted 35 drones overnight from Ukraine. Last night, Russian state TV airing an interview with Putin where he says they can still win. We have enough strength and resources to bring what was started in 2022 to its logical conclusion with the result needed by Russia, Putin insists. President Trump now says the only way to make peace is a face-to-face meeting with Putin, and he wants it as soon as it can be set up.
I think it's time for us to just do it.
President Zelensky at the Vatican Sunday, meeting with Vice President Vance. The administration says Russia and Ukraine will present ideas for a ceasefire. But the first direct talks between the two sides in 3 years in Turkey on Friday produced limited agreements and no pause in the fighting. Amid ongoing war, Europe battling to influence the White House. European leaders calling President Trump yesterday, renewing their demand for an unconditional ceasefire. Meanwhile, the Secretary of State says the White House can't stop the progress of a congressional bill threatening massive extra penalties on Russia. Will that push the Kremlin to compromise? And what will President Trump agree to? He says after he's spoken to President Putin this morning, he'll talk to President Zelensky almost immediately.
The latest here, thank you.
Let's go back to the weather, get the rest of the forecast. I like